Welcome, everybody, to another edition of AER. We are here tonight at the beautiful sunny track of Sonoma. We will be running, I think it's about 60 laps tonight at Sonoma. Nick Gowan going for his fifth win of the season, second win at a road course, so we'll see if he can accomplish that tonight. But I'm going to quickly get into the standings here. We'll go through that real quick and check out our top 12 that's going on right now in the battle for that top 12 spot. Number one in the point standings right now in your season standings is Nick Gowan with his 4 wins. Jared Mager with his 3 wins sitting second. Jason Fensler in the 5, who did finish second or third at this track, or the last road course at Watkins Glen. So looking to try to get that first win at a road course. Jamie Haynes still in the top 4. With his top 3 finishes back-to-back week. Jim Ott, our resident number 2 guy every single week, it seems like, sitting in P5. Charles Mosley Jr. sitting P6. Austin Greer 7th. Stan Carnathan still in the top 10, sitting in 8th place, 49 points back from, or plus 49 from that 12th spot. So looking to get locked into the playoffs here within the next 5 races. Tay McDonald sitting in 9th. Jeff No, Mr. Stout Whiskey in that 55 win Dixie Paint Scheme sitting there in 10th. Mike Miller in the 15 of the Toyota TRD camp is in the 11th spot right now. And the guy battling everybody else behind him is Jeremiah Nelson with his 1 win this season at the Super Speedway sitting in 12th. But he's got some heavy hunters right behind him. James Ledford, Al Likens, Dylan Picklesmeyer, and Adam Botten all within 34 points of Jeremiah Nelson for that low and very highly coveted number 12 spot to get into the playoffs. We'll see how tonight ends up and who shows up for the points here. Last Watkins Glen, I think we only had about, I think it was like 17 or 18 guys show up to that track. So big points night for guys who don't attend road courses. Whether it's in the negative way, and the guys who just show up and start and park can get a few points here and there as well. And then guys who maybe need a big points night, and a lot of guys not showing up, they can get some big points if they can finish up there in the top 3 or take away a win from our resident road course specialist Nick Gowan, who, like I said, won the last one at Watkins Glen pretty handily. So we'll see if anybody can contend with him tonight and maybe stab another win or maybe get their first win of the season. We'll take a look here at the national anthem. We'll come right back for the gridding as the qualifying is getting underway. We'll give a big salute to that red, white, and blue. If you've got any friends, family out there watching, make sure you send it to other friends and family and try to get them in here to watch your either friend, kid, dad, whatever it is. Send them in here and watch the action at Sonoma. We'll be right back. All right, back here at Sonoma, we've got the guys getting ready to go through their qualifying. Some of them are out there right now. Mike Miller out on track. Looks like he just completed his. Jeff No out on track right now, trying to complete his qualifying. We'll see where Jeff is at the end of this. See if he can get up to that top 10 starting position. Looks like we only have, I'm going to say, about 15 that have showed up tonight. So going to be a big points night for anybody out there that can, creep up through here and grab some points that they normally maybe can't grab if a full field was here. But the guys who aren't here tonight, I mean, I don't know. I've said it all along that, you show up for a season, you show up for the entire season, whatever it is. Sure, you may not like road courses, you may not like short tracks, you may not like, other specific tracks, but unless it's a family emergency or anything like that, because family comes first. I feel like if you sign up for a season, you should be here for the season. The guys running the leagues, like tonight, Jamie Adams, Jamie Haynes and Charles Mosley Jr. look to stack the roster as much as possible, and guys who may not have gotten into the season because somebody chose to race or said they were going to race but does not show up for road courses is kind of a disappointment. So I don't know. I feel like if you're going to sign up, you should be here. But I know family comes first, so that's the only reason. Family and work, only two reasons why I see not showing up. So, but we'll get into tonight's racing action here at Sonoma. Beautiful sunny California. This place, it's not a very fun track for me. I can't see over the hills. I can't seem to ever figure out how to get around this place. But we're going to get fired up here and ready to go here once the guys start getting gridded up. It looks like our gridding is getting going as qualifying has completed, and that's going to be Nick Gowan on the pole again. I'm just going to call it the Swag Designs pole, as Swag Designs is somebody that I am very, very good with. They have provided me a lot of stuff, stickers, posters, any kind of swag gear that you need for being a broadcaster, a racer. If you want some coasters that are custom made, they've got so much stuff. They've got a website going up, but you can find them on Twitter at Swag Designs, and that's with a Z instead of an S. So definitely go out there on Twitter, try to find Swag Designs, and grab some swag for yourself. I myself, like I said, I have a poster of my logo for broadcasting. I have some stickers to give away at some point here. I know a lot of different drivers and league admins and things like that have all requested different swag gear. My good buddy Repeat has some stickers and stuff like that he's got put up on his rig and throughout the house, and gives away some of the stickers and things like that. Same with Atlanta Racing. So that's where all that gear is coming from, whether it's stickers, coasters, posters, keychains. There's all kinds of stuff out there for Swag Design. So make sure you guys go and check them out on Twitter, and we'll get you that website information as soon as that website goes live. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of orders. But anyways, back to the race here. Nick Gowan, it does have that Swag Designs pole award. Mike Miller in the 15 Toyota TRD camp is going to start to his outside in that number 15. Sam Taylor in the 88 machine is going to be starting third. Jason Fensler in the 5 will be starting fourth. Austin Greer in the 45 Toyota machine will be starting fifth. Jamie Haynes will be starting sixth in his 53 machine. Adam Botten in the 94 will be starting sixth. James Ledford will be rounding out your top 7 there. Dylan Picklesmeyer will be 8th. Jeremiah Nelson will be 10th. Stan Connington in his 43 machine will be starting in the 11th spot. Charles Mosley Jr. 12th and Doug King 13th. Jeff No will be 14th, and Jared Moggard second in the points. It looks like he may be doing a start and park for the night, as he qualified 15th and has not booted up yet on track. So I know at Watkins Glen he started and parked there. I don't imagine he wouldn't do the same thing for Sonoma, as he came to tell me that Sonoma was even worse for him than Watkins Glen. He wished he maybe had used his provisional or a track that he missed as this one here for Sonoma. So, but yeah, this is going to be a fun track. It's a lot of lefts, a lot of rights, a lot of up and over hills. Got to really, pace yourself on the line. There's a lot of different things that can go wrong, and if you get out in the dust and the sand, it's not going to be fun out there. It is not meant as a beach. You're not supposed to park out there, lay down a towel, and pop up your umbrella. stay out of the sand. That's all I can say. We're going to get rocking and rolling here as the guys are coming through. One of the turns here as we get ready to go down the backstretch. We're going to come up around the next turn, and we will go towards the starting line. If you got a driver out there that you are really going to be paying attention to tonight, let me know, and I will pull them up on screen to see where they're at on track. Nick Gowan in his 31 Good Wrench machine will take us to the green flag as we go green for lap number 1 at Sonoma. 31 machine getting that Good Wrench Aeons Motorsports truck on the way with the 15 of Mike Miller. Mike Miller out there with a lot of family, friends, and fans that are paying attention to that 15 week in and week out, so definitely appreciate you guys tuning in week in and week out for that 15. Jason Fensler in the 5 starts moving his way already up through the field. If he can get by that number 15, he has moved into the 3rd position already, starting in the 4th position. That 5 trying to get by the 80, or got by the 88 within turn 1. Now sets his sights onto the 15 and 31. Like I said, the 5 of Jason Fensler and Nick Gowan have been battling week in and week out with a couple other drivers for sure for the wins. Jason Fensler has 2 wins on the season. Nick Gowan has 4, going for his 5th win tonight. Nick Gowan coming through that final turn before he gets through the straightaway, that weird bent back almost 180 degrees. You see a lot of different NASCAR races when they happen here at Sonoma. That last turn is a big turn for guys to make big moves going into it. You see a lot of bumping and banging going through there. Kurt Busch put on a move a couple years ago. Tony Stewart had a big pass there where he rammed a guy and just shoved him out of the way for it. I believe it was Jeff Gordon that he was passing there. But a lot of different drivers have been good in the past here, and a lot have been bad. So Nick Gowan, not one of those drivers you see continuing to stretch his lead out to about 3 seconds already. So we're going to look back through the field. Mike Miller being able to hold off that 5 truck right now. Mike Miller, if you want to stay in front of the 5, all he needs to do is run the normal line. Don't overdrive the truck. Don't short the truck so that the 5 can get to his outside and maybe pinch him off for the next turn. He's just got to stay in the way, and he could pretty much ride out this entire race, which is 40 laps here at Sonoma. If he can just stay in the way of the 5, he's going to basically force the 5 to give him a bump or give him a door check if he gets alongside of him to try to get by him. Other than that, there's not much the 5 can do. So this track can definitely become a track of bumping and banging, kind of a short track feeling with the amount of bumping and banging that can happen in certain turns, because it is so hard to make passes here at Sonoma. Looking back through the rest of the field here, we've got the 40 through a little slow through that final turn. The 45, 53, and 38 are battling back here right now for about 6th, 7th, and 8th. Jeff No making his way through the field pretty quickly. He started back in 15th and is actually sitting about 11th right now, so making some moves right now in that Winn-Dixie Mark Martin throwback paint scheme, that 55 of Mr. Stout Whiskey, otherwise known as Jeff No in real life. Austin Greer, the 45, still trying to battle with these guys. He wound up getting past the 88 there. Sam Taylor's looking back to about 5th now. Austin Greer moving up to P4. He now has Mike Miller and Jason Fensler in front of him. Jason Fensler able to make his way past the 15 and has stretched away from the 15, is trying to run down that 31 of Nick Gowan. He's about 6.5 seconds back from Nick right now. Nick just laid down a blistering lap of an 18.5 compared to a 1 minute 0.5 second lap. Jason Fensler, who's currently sitting second, ran a 1 minute and 20 second 0.5. So about 2 seconds off pace right now is where the 5 and the rest of the field is. I'm actually not seeing anybody under the 1 minute and 20 mark besides the 31 of Nick Gowan. high-speed course race. This is not going to be your average track at super high temperature or super high miles per hour. You're going to see maybe about 130, 140 on some of the straightaways, but for the majority of the race, you're probably going to see them hovering right here against the 60 to 100 mile-an-hour mark. Sometimes you might even see them get as low as 40. Look at those shocks inside these trucks as they bounce all over this track and go up and down over the hills through Sonoma. It's a very, very bumpy, very taxing track on a lot of mechanical gear on these trucks. So got to pay attention to what you're doing. These turtles, it's not quite like Charlotte Roval, where those turtles have been very, very dangerous in the past, where if you hit them, they can pretty much just break the whole front axle. These guys here at these tracks, you can see it's a lowered turtle down, which is most of the tracks for road courses carry those size turtles. So you can just run right over them. 5 continuing to be in second as we look again at those shocks as they're going up and over the hills in turns 3 and 4. You can see how much movement there is on the wheels. Mike Miller back here in third, looking for his first podium of the season. Could it be the night that this happens for the 15 of Mike Miller in that Toyota TRD paint scheme? Austin Greer closing in on the back of the 15, though, starting to make up some time on him as he's gotten about that was about a half second faster lap time that one by. Sam Taylor now still sitting in 5th. Dylan Picklesmeyer and Stan Kernathan have moved up to 6th and 7th. Jeremiah Nelson, your Talladega winner, sitting in 8th right now. Jared Maugard actually did start the race. Looks like he has moved up through the field, and he has moved up to 15th, which is kind of surprising because he told me this was a track he wished he would have set out instead of Watkins Glen. But looks like he's out here just kind of roaming the track, not really trying to lay down blistering laps or anything like that, just kind of trying to hang on to this truck as long as possible to gain as many points as he can so he doesn't slip further back behind the current leader in the points, which is Nick Gowan, who's also the current leader in the race. Jamie Haynes has slipped back to P10, losing 5 positions. I'm going to guess he got off track at some point here. But Nick Gowan is out to about an 8-second lead, 8.5-second lead in some parts of the track. He's getting a little loose, though, starting to slip and slide all over the place. We are 6 laps into this 40-lap run here at Sonoma. I would guess it's going to be about 10 to 15 laps on fuel. Tires, not that big of a deal, but definitely not a track that you might want to skip taking tires and only fuel only. Probably not a good idea on that one because the right front and right rear on these things seem to get burnt up super quick by going left and right. For any big movers out there, and Jared Maugard's up +6, Stan Kernathan up +2, Jeremiah Nelson up +4, and that's about it. Everybody else is kind of hovering right at those positions. I see more negatives than I see positives out there, which can be just a simple fact of guys getting off track or maybe getting a little bump or somebody sliding through their braking point and just getting you off, getting somebody else off track in front of them. Go in the cockpit view of Mike Miller's truck here. We'll take a look and take a lap around this track as he's about halfway through the lap. So we'll come back around here with Mike Miller around Sonoma, and you can see what he's seeing outside the windshield with that steering wheel movement and the RPMs moving back and forth. You can tell when he's getting to the gas and getting off of it. Take a lap with Mike Miller. right, we're back here and taking that trip around Sonoma right now with the 15 truck. You can see how much movement is in the steering wheel. I mean, it's constant. You're never slowing down. Anybody with a clutch in this race has got a lot of work to do if they're having to use that clutch to shift gears. So a lot of guys will turn the clutch off to where they can just shift without having to worry about it. And there's some guys out here who will use a clutch as if it's a real car, real racing style. There's a lot of guys that say that they have to do that to feel like they're in the car, and they can conserve fuel and things like that by using the clutch if they have the set of pedals that allows them to do that. If they don't, then they just run the gas and brake. Some guys will have paddle shifters on their steering wheels. Some guys will still have that shifter, though, like I said, and they can shift it in neutral and things like that to save fuel rolling down a hill, or if we do get a caution, which I don't think there is full course cautions tonight. I believe it's only corner cautions, so anytime there's an accident in a specific area, those guys will be warned that there is an accident in that area, and they will have to slow down as they run through there. But I think the last place that we went to Watkins Glen, I don't even think we had corner cautions, so it might be out of that as well. Right now, Nick Gowan is just blistering this track. He is out to about a 17, almost 18-second lead right now over Jason Fensler in the 5. Somebody should tell Nick Gowan just to relax and maybe conserve fuel, stretch his fuel out. But most drivers, once they get into that rhythm, they don't want to change anything. They just want to lay down every lap that they possibly can. He's the only driver that I have seen in that 119 range. I don't even see another driver having a best time with under the 1 minute and 20 second. Jason Fensler is the only one that's close with a 120.085. And I mean, to put that in perspective, Nick Gowan's fastest lap of the race right now is a 118.585. So not even close. Catching up with the 53 of Jamie Haynes and that 00 of Jared Mogard. Mogard has moved up into P7 right now. Jamie Haynes is back in the top 10, sitting in 8th. Stanker Athens up to 9th. Jeremiah Nelson down to P10. The rest of the top 10 looks like Dylan Puxmeyer in the 6th spot. Sam Taylor in P5. Austin Greer now in P4. Mike Miller in P2 as Jason Fensler took over Mike Miller in P3, sorry, as Jason Fensler took over P2 from him. And Nick Gowan is your current leader still. Oh, we got a car off track, and this is what I was talking about. Jeff No out in the sand, tows it back to the garage, and we'll see if Jeff No is able to come back out on track at some point. But that's the problem with the sand. Once you get out there, you can get stuck, and you'll have to tow. So Jeff No, not really known as a big road course racer, but definitely a fan favorite in my opinion in a lot of different leagues. So it looks like he has backed out of the race. He has started and essentially parked it. He is about 12th, but James Ledford, it looks like, is still out on track. So that's the only person that it looks like Jeff could lose a position to, as it looks like Charles Mosley Jr. is down 4 laps and not currently out on track, and Adam Boughton is down 6 laps and not currently out on track. So Jeff going to be looking like he's going to round out in the P13 spot if that stays where it's at. Big giant track up in the hills of Sonoma. You can see the different positioning as the guys are trying to make their way through the S turns right now. There's a lot of different turns in this thing. It's all over the place. Some of the hills you can barely see down over. As you go up them, you can barely see to where you don't know where the bottom is or where the over top of the hill is to drop down into the next turn. So like I said, not a fan favorite for me. There's also a new section of this track that they put in with the boot, so that one's even more difficult. There's 3 extra turns in there, and one of them for sure I can't see anything when I look out the windshield when I'm going over it, so you just basically got to guess where that turn is. But Jared Mogard is actually starting to make his way further up into the field. He's now past Dylan Puxmeyer for P6, so Maybe Jared should have not starting parked at Watkins Glen, and maybe he would still be in the points lead. We're going to take a quick break and come on back for some more racing as we have completed 12 of the 40 laps tonight, coming up on pit stops here at some point. So we'll be right back after the side-by-side view. You won't miss any of the action. All right, we're back from those commercial breaks from EPI, iRock TV, and my own personal schedule for broadcasting so that you guys can tune in and week out at different tracks and different leagues that I am broadcasting. So, back to the action on track. Nick Gowan did make a pit stop while we were under break there. Mike Miller, that we've been following along with here for about a lap or so, is now officially taking his pit stop as well. Only Jason Fensler of the leaders of the top three have not pitted yet. Austin Greer back in fourth, Sam Taylor fifth, and Jared Moggard in, Sam Taylor in fourth, and Jared Moggard in fifth have not pitted as well. Jared Moggard looks to be coming down pit road here shortly. Mike Miller is going to be sitting sixth right now, but he has pitted, so he can go another 15, 16 laps, which will put him within the window to finish out the race on that one more stop. Nick Gowan has moved back into P2 after taking his pit stop and is currently on a tear right now on track. He is currently moving through the field and up to P2. He just laid down a 1:18.294, which is now the fastest lap of the race by almost 2 seconds compared to anybody else on track, including our leader right now of the 5 of Jason Fensler. Jason Fensler probably going to go another lap or two before he makes his pit stop. Give me just a second here. I got to fix an audio thing that I'm finding. Sorry about that, Allison. I clicked the wrong button to unmute the truck audio and muted my own voice. But as I was saying, Nick Gowan closing in on Jason Fensler in the 5. He has one lap down truck in front of him before he gets to the 5. The 5 has not pitted yet. The 5 is closing in on that 40-lap run. There's only 40 laps. If he can complete this 20-lap run, he could complete essentially the entire race on the one stop that he has to complete. Nick Gowan pitted on lap 15 or 16, so he is going to have to pit one more time based on what I'm seeing for fuel strategy. And it looks like Jason's going for another lap, so this would put him within the window of making it to the end. Checking in the rest of the field, Jared Mogert finally making his pit stop as well. Mike Miller made his pit stop a few laps ago and is currently sitting in the 6th position. He's probably going to wind up passing Sam Taylor and Jared Mogert, who are now in the pits, as well as Jamie Haynes. Once he makes his pit stop, he should move back into the P3 spot, as the rest of the field has pitted, or has not pitted yet in front of him, besides Nick Gowan and Jason Fensler. So Mike going for his first top 3 finish of the season. Would love to finally get an interview done with Mike Miller in that TRD Toyota 15 to give that family and friends out there rooting for Mike. Definitely want to give you the pleasure of hearing your dad's voice or friend's voice. If he can finish out this race in the top 3, he's done a very, very good job so far. Staying on track 99.9% of the race so far. I think you've only seen him off track just a little bit once. Not even really too far off track. But he's doing very, very well tonight, so we'll see if he can complete that top 3 finish. Nick Gowan is going to move into your lead spot. Jason Fensler has now finally hit pit road. 21 laps into this race, as we've got 40 laps tonight before this race is over. Jamie Haynes is going to move into P2 if he can pass Jason Fensler while he's on pit road. Jamie Haynes going into pit road, so that's going to put him in P3, moving Mike Miller up to P2 if Mike can get around here and pass Jamie Haynes and Jason Fensler. The final turn right now is the 5 is still on pit road, and so is the 53. Going to make that last right-hand turn. 5 is coming off pit road now. 5 is going to try to get up through the gears and get going quickly as he goes into turn 1 and 2 as Mike goes to the start finish line. Mike is going to be about 2 seconds behind Jason Fensler, as Jason came out of the pits and got up through the gears quick enough to get out of there. There goes Jason over the top of the hill. And here comes Mike over the top of the hill as well, so not too far behind him, but he is currently sitting 3rd. Austin Greer is going to be sitting in P4, and Jared Mogert P5. Jamie Haynes coming out of the pits now, around P5 as well. Nick Gowan out to about a 40-second lead right now in this 31 Goodwrench Aeons Motorsports paint scheme. He has been just dominating this race, just as he did at Watkins Glen earlier in the season. Not a whole lot of competition here. Jason Fensler has been the closest to him, but like I said, Nick has been laying down some extremely fast laps tonight at Sonoma. He has the track record tonight at 1:18.294. The only other driver that's even close to that is Jason Fensler, who ran a 1:20.085, so just over, or just under 2 seconds slower than Nick Gowan, and Nick Gowan is averaging right around that 1:19 mark, so about a second a lap faster than everybody else on track. 5 going to do his best, though, to close back in on that gap. He is currently sitting P2. Mike Miller in P3, who's closing in on the back of him. Currently only about a handful of seconds back from Jason Fensler. Going to take a look out the front windshield of Mike Miller's truck to see how close he is to Jason Fensler. There goes Jason Fensler up on the top right. So you can see a red and white truck going off in the distance, maybe. Well, it's a little too far for you guys to see. But I'll see if I maybe can get in the cockpit and see if that a little bit better. So inside Mike Miller's view, out his helmet. There's a truck out from there. Goes Jason Fensler off to the right, coming back down the straightaway, passing the start stripe. So that's the distance between him and second place. But like I said, a number 1 piece, top 3 finish tonight if Mike Miller can finish off this top 3 finish. Jared Mogert in top 5 standings right now, with Jamie Haynes sitting P6, Sam Taylor P7, Dylan Pickenbauer P8, Stan Kernathan P9, Doug King P10, James Ledford P11, Jeremiah Nelson in P12, Jeff No P13, Charles Mosen Jr. P14, and Adam Bott riding out the field of 15 tonight that showed up for the Sonoma race. Not a whole lot of drivers showed up, but a lot of drivers who did will get a good points jump on drivers who did not show up. That could be the difference between making it to the playoffs and not making it. The race alone could decide that. Riding back here with Jamie Haynes, your owner, admin in the 53 truck, chasing the 0-0 right now of Jared Moggard sitting P2 in the points. Jamie Haynes sitting P4 in the points. So top four are all in the top five in points right now, as Nick Gowan, Jason Fensler, Jared Moggard, and Jamie Haynes are all sitting in the top six right now in tonight's race. Still don't see any other chats from there. But yeah, so IROC TV, Swag Designs, KS Gaming Broadcasting, bringing you all of it. We've got Monday nights for AER. We've got a couple other things coming up. We've got Velocity Motorsports coming back. We've got Return of Turn Down for What on Wednesdays, I believe, on March 27th or 28th, I believe. Their Xfinity, or no, Gen 6, sorry. Bringing back the old Cup cars for that series on Wednesday nights at 9:30. Then we'll have, like I said, Velocity returning at 7:30 on Tuesday nights, and AER will round out their season right around that mark as well. I believe it's May 15th is the last race of the season for these guys. So a lot of things going on with KSK Broadcasting. I'm bringing you as much as I can. A lot of different league racing going on, all presented on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and the Roku app, IROC TV. By about 15 seconds. So if Mike can continue to do what he's doing, stretch this fuel a little bit here, and just stay on course, you can see Mike Miller in that 15 Toyota TRD getting his first top three of the season, and on a road course too. Mike has had a few opportunities this season to be in the top three, but has not made it to the finish of the race due to nothing on his own end. He's gotten, he got sideswiped by a guy who had his steering wheel shut off on him, lost all control, mechanical failure of a steering wheel, turned right into the leaders, and unfortunately the 15 found him floating on the track, and the 15 got taken out. We've seen the 15 get involved in an incident before on another track where a driver tried to cut him off and just clipped his nose and threw him into the wall. So a lot of different circumstances have caused a lot of bad races for the 15, but from what I can tell, he's a very, very fantastic driver. A lot of respect on track, gives a lot of respect as well. You hear a lot of drivers talk about give and take. Not a driver that takes a lot. He gives a lot to drivers and gives respect, but gets taken a lot to the wall. Not his doing. Jared Moggard has moved up into the P4 spot, so another good finish night for Jared Moggard, Jason Fensler, Nick Gowan, and Jamie Haynes. As it looks like Nick Gowan has made his second stop of the night right now, which is going to put Jason Fensler in the lead if Jason can pass him here. Nick had about a 52-second lead, so Jason Fensler is going to be coming on by shortly, as he is coming into the final turn right now as Nick is in pit road getting fuel and tires. So Nick's not going to be too far behind him whenever he does finally come out of pit road. Jason should be passing him on the right side, right. Oh, it's going to be close. All right, so there's the 16. There's the 5 of Jason Fensler back there in the red truck. So Nick was able to complete his pit stop and get back out on track and be able to finish this race without having to worry about taking another pit stop. So it looks like Nick Gowan, as long as he doesn't make a horrific mistake here, is going to wind up finishing this race in P1 as he has continued to be the fastest on track. Jason Fensler, though, not giving up, going to try to run down the 31. He's got enough fuel to make it to the end as well. But Nick has the fresher tires. I'm going to put us on a side-by-side, and we'll be right back to finish out this race as we have about 15 to go. We'll be right back. All right, we're back here for the closing laps at Sonoma for AER, American Elite Racing Truck Series, race number 11. We've got 5 races to go before the playoffs start here. Nick Gowan has led pretty much the entire race other than a handful of laps while he took his pit stop, and Jason Fensler led a few laps there. Jared Mogart has moved up in the top 3. Mike Miller has slipped back to P6 after his second pit stop there. Austin Greer is in front of him. Sam Taylor, Jared Mogart, and Jason Fensler all round out the top 5. Jason Fensler trying to close in on Nick Gowan, but unsuccessfully, as he has lost about 6 seconds now and slid back to about 9 seconds back from our leader. Mike Miller will have the fresh tires. We'll see if he can complete his passes on Sam Taylor, Austin Greer, and Jared Mogart to move him back into P3. Looks like Mike Miller is trying to run down those guys right in front of him, but I don't know if he's going to be able to complete. We've got 10 to go now as Mike Miller is sitting about 6 seconds off of P5, about 14 seconds back from P4, and about 22 seconds back from P3. But got all the faith in Mike Miller. Fingers crossed he can make it back to P3. Going back up to the leader, Nick Gowan in the 31. Continuing to stretch his lead. Just ran his fastest lap of the race of an 18.260, which is, again, about a second and a half faster than anybody else on track. Dylan Picklesmeyer back here in P7. He is currently your last driver on the lead lap. Doug King will be your first car, 1 lap down, but he is 2 laps down in the 16, as it looks like he just missed turn 1 there and is going to be pulling off maybe for P5, or the 5 truck of Jason Fensler, sorry. Take a ride with Nick Gowan to see how he is completing this thing so fast. Watching that lap there with Nick Gowan, you can see he is not taking a second off. Going around the track, putting into the pedal to the floor every chance he gets. He has got loose back end coming out multiple times. So you can tell he is not taking it easy. He is trying to lay down as many laps as possible, being faster than anybody else on track, trying to stretch this lead out. He's got it to about 11 seconds over second place of Jason Fensler and about 47 seconds over third place of Jared Mogart. Sorry to turn that volume down just a little bit. It was a little loud in my ears as we were roaring through Sonoma with Nick Gowan there. But Dylan Picklesmeyer does go 1 lap down, so you're a lucky dog at the moment. But just Nick Gowan is just unbelievable at road courses. Jason Fensler's no slouch. He is currently sitting P2. Jared Mogart is sitting P3. So your top 3 in points are currently sitting first, with Nick Gowan being first in the points, first on the track. Jared Mogart second in the points, sitting third on the track right now. Jason Fensler sitting third in the points, sitting second on the track. So top 3 is riddled with the top 3 in the points. Your other top 5 drivers, P4 goes to Jamie Haynes, and he's currently sitting P10. P5 goes to Charlie Mosley Jr., who's currently sitting P14. Mike Miller is making up a little bit of time on the other drivers. He's closed into about a 5-second gap over Sam Taylor, who's sitting P5, and he's closed into about 14 seconds over P3 of Austin Greer, and he's closed into about 20 seconds back from P2 or P3 of Jared Maugard. Does not look like Mike Miller is going to be able to get back to that P3 slot to get that first top 3 of the night, but a top 5 is definitely great to have at a road course. Austin Greer currently sitting P4 in his 45 Toyota machine. Mike Rosenter trying to finish out the night in a top 5 spot. I think he's currently in the top 10 in points as well. So Austin Greer looking for a great points night. Jared Maugard sitting in P2 in points, trying to stick with Nick Gowan's points lead. But Nick is going to extend that points lead a little bit tonight with his win. Be his 5th win of the season, and I believe it's his 3rd straight win. Trying to look back here to see how many in a row Nick Gowan currently has. I do believe this is his 3rd straight win, so trying to look at it and see. But Nick has been on a tear. I believe he has 4 out of 8 races in the ARCA series. So this will be back-to-back wins for Nick Gowan, as he did not win at Talladega. That was Jeremiah Nelson that won that. But the week prior, Nick won. The week before that, I believe Jason Fenzer won. So 3 out of 4 is going to go to Nick Gowan. Actually, 4 out of 5, because I'm going back to Watkins Glen. The only race Nick has lost in the last 5 races is the Talladega race, which is, as most people know, a flip of a coin whether or not you even finish that race. And Nick got caught up in a mistake there by somebody else and did not finish that race in the top 5. Closing laps of AER's Truck Series race number 11 at Sonoma. 5 laps to go as Nick Gowan has stretched his lead out to about 18 seconds now over 2nd place of Jason Fenzer. Jared Maugard still in 3rd, about 52 seconds back from Nick Gowan. Austin Greer about 1 minute and 5 seconds back is sitting in P4. Mike Miller has moved to P5, but he is currently about 1 minute and 10 seconds back. Next week we go back racing on oval tracks. We go back to, I believe we're headed to, that would be Martinsville. So short track racing up in Virginia. 150 laps coming back on March 6th. Then we go to Atlanta, and then Rockingham Auto Club, and then we start the playoff run of round of 12 at Dover. And then we go to a short track of Richmond. Then we go to the round of 8, which is going to be Lucas Oil, New Hampshire, and the championship race will be at Las Vegas. Rolling the dice, trying to hit that lottery, trying to hit the jackpot, and see who can come away with the championship. But tonight's night has been all 31 Goodwrench Aeons Motorsports Chevy Silverado of Nick Gowan. He got the pole tonight by a good margin, and then has led every lap of the race besides about 5 or 6 that were given to Jason Fensler, and I believe a lap to Jamie Haynes, who was lucky enough to lead some laps there while Nick Gowan took a pit stop and then had to work his way back through the field while everybody else was making pit stops as well. But Nick has just been on a tear on this road course. Every road course we come to from now on, I'm going to say who's going to be able to beat Nick Gowan, because the last 2 road courses he has dominated. With 2 laps to go here at Sonoma, he's going to notch his 6th win of the season, 2nd win in a row, and 4th win of the last 5 races. So very dominating fashion in the last 5 races. Only race he has not won in the last 5 races was Talladega, and he was leading that race with about 15 to go. So had a chance to win that one, but got caught up in somebody else's mess. But Nick has been, just like I said, on a tear for the last 5 races. Nick Gowan going down the backstretch S's one more time. We've got 1 lap to go once he crosses the start-finish line here as he goes into the final turn to start that white flag coming out. Lap 39 of 40 on to lap 40. White flag in the air as the 31's going to take it, and we'll go 1 more lap for Nick Gowan to complete his 5th win of the season right here at Sonoma. Like I said, AR is going to be going to Martinsville next week, next Monday. Come back and tune into all the action for Martinsville. We should see a lot more drivers on track for that race, and we'll be going live about 8:15 next Monday night to catch all that action and see who can come away with that track win as well. Looking to see if Jared Mager can step up and start winning some races again. He won 3 races again early in the season, back to back, and then set out a race and has not finished in the top 2 since. Coming into the final turn one last time for Nick Gowan. Getting into there real smooth as he's been doing all night long. Coming out of the final turn, going to go up the front stretch and complete his 5th win of the season in AAR Truck Series. Winning tonight's race, the 31 of Nick Gowan. Jason Fensler is going to finish this race in P2 as he comes into the final turn as well. Jason Fensler going to be getting his, I think, 6th top 3 finish of the season as he clinches his P2 position in that 5 truck right then and there, crossing the finish line. 3rd place is going to be Jared Maugert in that 00 Chevy. 3 Chevys in the top 3. But Jared Maugert in the 00, a little behind Jason Fensler. He's going to be coming around to get to that final turn one last time and complete this race in P3 for his, I believe, 8th top 3 finish of the season out of 11 races. Goes up the final stretch one last time, crosses the finish line, and gets P3, clinching your top 3 finishers. We will be back here to interview the top 3 finishers right after this burnout by Nick Gowan. got no burnout for Nick, so we'll come right back and talk to our top three finishers. Nice job, Nick. Nice job, Jason. Jared, what the hell? I thought you weren't good at road courses. You should have ran Watkins Glen. All right, we're back here for AER Racing Truck Series, race number 11 at Sonoma, and tonight's dominant driver and winning his fifth race of the season, second back-to-back win of the season, Nick Gowan in the 31 Aeon Motorsports Chevy Silverado. Nick, if Watkins Glen, if anybody thought that was a fluke, you just let him know and put him on notice that anytime a road course shows up on the schedule, you just are going to dominate. You got the pole tonight. You come away again, like I said, with the fifth win of the season. You're back-to-back wins now with last week's or 2 weeks ago win at North Wilkesboro. Your fourth win in 5 races. Only race that you did not win in those 5 races, I believe, or actually 6 races, sorry, is Talladega and the race that Jason won. It's just been dominating for the last I don't know. It seems like the whole season between you three for sure, but you in particular, the last 6 or 7 races, whatever it is, have just been knocking off top threes and wins consistently. What is it about Sonoma that you were able to come out here and just lay down this blistering speed that, I mean, it was a second and a half faster on average, better than anybody else on track. Your fastest lap was 2 seconds better than anybody else. So, what is it about road course racing? What is it about Sonoma? And I mean, how did you do it?
Well, first off, thanks to everyone that came out tonight. I know we had a smaller field than usual, but uh, as far as road racing and the track goes, it's a very technical track, but I do spend a lot of time racing sports cars and um, outside of oval racing, I raced a lot of GT3s and prototypes on road courses. So road courses is kind of like a second language to me between the two. Like oval racing is always my first love, but I do dabble in street road courses quite a bit. But here, as far as Sonoma goes, um, it's a very technical track, a lot of elevation changes. It's very bumpy, and especially with these trucks, the rear end's very light, and we're already running a lighter fuel load uh, than a full tank. So just protecting those rear tires, short shifting, and just not roasting them off the start is key. And then just being smooth with everything else, not overdriving the corners, and just thinking about your exit or for the corner to set yourself up for the entrance to the next one.
Well, Nick, I mean, how much strategy or thought did you put into the strategy of pitting twice? We saw Jason go with the one pit stop strategy, and I mean, he was right on your back bumper as you came out of pits the second time. He took the lead from you the first time. I mean, were you worried when you went into the pits, knowing that he took the lead from you and you had to run him back down? I mean, where was your head process or thought process in creating this strategy of pitting twice? And then were you worried when you saw he took the lead from you the first time and stretched it out on you?
If I could close up that gap after that pit stop, because I knew like giving up the lead was always a risk, but I felt like the two stop strategy was more optimal. It wasn't going to allow for as many mistakes. Or the risk of making a mistake was lower because having a fuller tank and fresher tires is always going to be faster, especially here. And just especially towards the end of that first run, I couldn't even get full throttle on the straightaways. So it's like I would just rather have the grip and the stability underneath me. And after that pit stop, if I could at least close that gap by like if I could get them within 5 seconds or so, like I knew I could pull off the two stop strategy. But the trick was coming to the second pit stop. I knew the gap had to be at roughly 30 seconds to stay out in front. And I think he did gain on me a little bit there before my second stop. I think it was like 32, 33 seconds. So it's just as long as I didn't make a mistake on pit road or anything like that, I was going to come out in front of him. And it was just playing defense from there.
Yeah, but we've seen so many different tracks where drivers can have a perfect race except pit road, where you can make a mistake. You said, you know, it gives you the ability to, you know, overcome mistakes and things like that. But if you make a mistake on pit road, it's over. That strategy goes out the window. Even as fast as you were, if you'd have got hit with a pit road penalty there, Jason would have, you know, passed you on that second pit stop, and you would have been back probably about 20 seconds on him by the time you came out of pit stops.
Yeah. I mean, just because when it comes to pit stops is very fundamental, and just making sure that you have that down pat is really key because it's like race wins can come and go with the smallest pit road penalty or the speeding or just even missing your box. Because I mean, if you miss your box, that could be even that 1 or 2 seconds can make all the difference, especially on ovals. And For road courses, it was just a matter of coming out in front of Jason and just not having to worry about having to get around them for the rest of the race.
Well, you clinch your fifth win of the season. Next week we go to Martinsville, that old short track racing style. Is that going to be a track that we're going to be paying attention to you being up front, or I mean, you've pretty much locked yourself in. I think Jamie said you were very, very close to locking yourself in with 5 races to go. With the win tonight, with the bonus points you'll get as well. I mean, I would assume you've pretty much locked yourself in. I mean, you could pretty much start and park the rest of the season and make it to the playoffs, but are you going to continue this streak? I know a lot of guys will say, you can't get off rhythm, you can't take a second to breathe, you got to go full throttle the entire time to stay, in that mindset. But then I hear other guys saying you got to take a breather, you got to take a step back. We seen Jason early in the season. He took a vacation day and said, "I'm going to go clear my head. I'm going to go spend time with family. I'm going to go take a vacation and miss a race." He come back and he was on a tear. So I've seen it both ways. Where's your mindset going into these final 5 races before we start this playoff run, or final 4 races?
I'm just going to try to keep going at the pace that I've been going. It's very,
So no slowing down.
um, yeah, no, no slowing down. I mean, that's at least for me, that's how I keep my edge, and because everything for me is repetition. The more I do something, the better I'm going to get at it, and I that's what I look to do every week. When it comes to these races and even official races, and just trying to keep that edge sharp is really important. And as far as Martinsville goes, I like short tracks. I mean, Jared and Jason and a handful of others always put up a fight every week, so I'm sure it's going to be a battle. But it'll. I think the biggest thing is just green flag laps is going to be key next week.
All right. Well, Nick, any big shout outs for you or anything like that?
Thank you for doing the broadcast each and every week. Thank you to some of my friends are watching tonight, so thanks to them. And uh, congrats to Jason and Jared for finishing on the podium. So much for the start and park from Jared. So he said in Discord earlier he was going to start and park it, but I mean,
I
I'm
thought
glad
he
he stuck it
did.
out. Yeah.
I didn't see him queue up at the beginning when you guys started moving in the grid. So I was like, oh, there's another starting park for Jared. It's a road course.
Mm,
And then all of a sudden he was moving up through the field. So,
yep. But yeah, great. I'm glad everyone that came out tonight. I know it's a tough track, and but look forward to next week.
all right. Well, that is your winner tonight in AAR Truck Series race number 11 of Sonoma. That is Nick Gowan in that 31 Aeons Goodwrench Chevy Silverado, pulling off his fifth win of the season, a back-to-back win as of right now from North Wilkesboro to Sonoma. We'll see what happens next week at Martinsville. Not going back to Watkins Glen. I'm sure nobody else would want that, but we're going to bring up P2, and that is going to be the 5 truck of Jason Fensler, who is currently sitting P3 in the point standings. Jason, as I told Nick, once you took that break where you missed a race there to kind of clear your head and go on vacation with your family and stuff, you came back and you've been, I mean, a guy that has finished in the top 3, top 5 over and over and over, week in and week out, if not winning the race. Uh, I, I mean, I know there's only 4 or 5 races left. Tonight's race at Sonoma was a big one. Wasn't a very large field, so getting the points you could get, guys who start and parked or whatever, they weren't going to get as many points as they possibly could. But you went out there, started in I think P4, and quickly moved into P3, and then went at it with 15, and finally got that position taken for P2, and then pretty much just chased that 31 all night. What was this race like for you in that cockpit?
It wasn't bad. It's a pretty technical racetrack, so I went the conservative route. It's a really tough place to race somebody on, so you got to kind of race the racetrack. I think that kind of shows in the turnout we had. We didn't have a very good field, and then I think during the race, a lot of guys opted to quit. So it's just kind of one of those racetracks. It's really hard to put on any kind of a race or any kind of a show. So I just went the conservative route. Nick had a good truck, obviously, but I just wanted to keep it on the pavement and bring home whatever position we could bring home. So that was kind of my outlook on the race tonight.
Gotcha. Well, you continued to climb closer and closer in the point standings. You and Jared are pretty much locked in a tight battle for P2 and P3 in the points. Nick keeps stretching his lead with the races we have left in the series with Martinsville, Atlanta, um, and a couple others over the Auto Club and things like that. Any tracks coming up that you're going to be looking like this is another track I can get my third win at?
Well, I think each and every week, you know, I know we prepare to try and get wins every week. So the best we can run is what we do every week. So we prepare to try and get wins every week, but sometimes that's just not in the books. But I think the biggest thing is once the points reset, that's when I think it's going to be, the grind. Have the pace, have the speed each and every week. Us three, Nick and Jared and myself, we kind of always rise to the top at every race. So I think that's way it's going to be in the playoffs, and I think it's just going to come down to who can get the luck and who can get the streak and have that momentum and speed during the playoffs.
Was I on mute this whole time? Sorry about that, Jason. I was trying to figure out, looking at the point standings, you're sitting P3. Does it really make a huge difference for you to get to P2 and pass Jared Mogard? I know the ultimate goal, obviously, is always to be P1 going into the playoffs. But with Nick doing what he's doing, it's going to be very difficult to get there unless he has some terrible races over the next four races. But does that P2 position going into the playoffs mean that much to you with kind of a difficult playoff schedule with the round of 12, round of 8, and then the championship race being at Las Vegas? You've got a dirt track mixed in there. You've got some other difficult tracks. Does that P2 position going into the playoffs mean that much?
Not in my opinion. I think the biggest thing is just getting through the rounds, right? So if we can get through the rounds and get it down to the final four, that's where you're essentially just going to race it out amongst each other. So I think the biggest thing is just kind of minimize the mistakes, have good pace, but minimize the mistakes is probably the biggest thing because if you have a mistake in one of these rounds, it can hurt you bad. So as far as getting that P2 position in the points before the playoff starts, I'm not really too stressed about that. It's more getting through those rounds because once that playoff starts, that's where everything can change drastically in one race, and then you're playing catch up the entire round, whatever round it might be.
Well, I definitely look forward to seeing the fight you guys can put up against Nick going into the playoffs and see which one of you comes off with the championship at the end of the season. But you've definitely been on a tear ever since you took that week off to reset your mind or take vacation and spend time with the family and stuff. Um, definitely, definitely somebody to watch out for. I think Nick's got some heavy hitters right behind him that are chasing him in this point standing. So uh, continue the hard work, and we'll see where you can come out with it. Any big shout outs for you?
Yeah, shout out to you for doing the broadcast. Do a great job every week. Jamie and all the people in the league, they do a fantastic job. I know we didn't have the turnout tonight that we have been having, but I think that shows for itself. I think at North Worksboy we had 30 trucks or something like that. So that's really cool to see. And then all the friends and family tuning in and watching. So I really appreciate that, and we look forward to next week at Martinsville.
All right, well, that is your P2 finisher, Jason Fensler, in the 5. We're going to bring up P3, and that's going to be the 00 of Jared Mogard coming up to the booth now. Jared, it's been a few weeks since we've seen you here in the top 3. Been a few weeks since we've seen you collect a win. What is it that is going on for you? Is it just the streak that Nick and Jason have been on? Or did that week of you sitting or starting and parking at Watkins Glen kind of throw you off? You heard Nick saying, um, he needed to stay in the groove, stay. The more reps he got, the better he was going to be. Things like that. Did that affect you at all, or is it just, the competition has just stepped up even more after you went on a tear of I think 3 wins straight?
I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both, maybe. When you're on a run like that, you definitely want to keep it going. But at the same, I don't know. It's just a little bit of both. Biggest thing is when you get in a run and you get in a track where your confidence is not there to begin with, and then you sit there and practice, and it's not going very well, and you decide to start and park. It's kind of hard to get that momentum back going again. But we've had speed everywhere. We just we haven't had the luck, and that's definitely part of it as well. I mean, Nick and James are really good and really fast, and right now Nick is just kind of riding the luck and riding the wave right now, and I think that's the biggest thing. I would say also a little bit for me is probably just kind of going through the motions through the regular season. You've touched on it multiple times. Us three we're pretty much locked into the playoffs, so it's kind of just a little bit of complacency, I guess, is maybe the word for it. Just trying to get to the playoffs, and then when the playoffs come, it's for me anyway. I seem to always find that little extra on top of what we have been bringing to the track every week. So I'd say that's maybe more the biggest thing out of all of it.
Well, Jared, I mean, it's not like you haven't been here. You've been in the top 10. You've got a couple P5s or top five finishes as well. It's just been, we've seen you, Jason, Jamie, Nick, and a couple others that are pretty much, you know, top five, top six contenders week in and week out. It's just, like you said, Nick's kind of been on this lucky streak or streak, I guess. I don't know if we'll call it luck yet, but I mean, I hear you saying you're kind of being complacent and just trying to get through the season. Does this point standings, because I believe the points get reset once you get to the playoffs? Does that position really matter to you, or is it just once you get there, it doesn't really matter which position you are in the top 12? If you have great races once you get to the playoffs, it doesn't matter. But the risk factor, though, if you're sitting P3 instead of P2 and you miss the next round because you have a bad race there, there are some difficult tracks in the playoffs. Does that really give you any kind of worry? Or, I mean, it doesn't sound like it since you say you're just kind of complacent and just going through the motions to get to the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with Jason. I mean, second's great. If you can get it, definitely, but I don't think it really matters. I think, you know, the biggest thing is just get to the playoffs, and once the playoffs start, it just it rises your game. I think there might be some bonus points for maybe winning the regular season title. So I mean, if we have a shot at that, if we can maybe rattle off a couple and get close to Nick again, and maybe get first out of the deal, I'd say that's maybe a little bit more important. But second, third, even fourth, I really don't think it matters. I mean, once you get to playoffs, it doesn't matter. It's all about getting after it and being consistent. And us three have really shown that we can do that pretty much everywhere. And I think so. Yeah, the biggest thing is just try to get on a run leading right into the playoffs and kind of ride it, kind of like Nick is doing right now, and kind of like I did earlier. It's whoever can get that final regular season race win, in my opinion, is probably going to have a little bit of an advantage over everybody else.
Well, that final race is Auto Club. It's one of my favorite tracks. Obviously, the NASCAR just ran there, and they've made the mistake, thought, in my opinion, of destroying that track and bringing in a ridiculous amount of another short track. at some point once they build it. But that track is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of action you guys can do. I know in real life, obviously 4 or 5 wide is not out of the question on restarts and going through turn 1 and 2 and coming down the backstretch. So looking forward to that race and seeing what you guys can do. But I think you're right. It does. If you can go on a long streak into the playoffs, it could have maybe an advantage, but streaks can be broken at any point. So winning that final race, I think, is going to be the key point. And for the way it's looking, it's going to be the one of you three, for the most part, as you three, other than Jeremiah Nelson, are the only winners this season. So, and that was on a super speedway that Jeremiah was able to pull that off and get that first win of the season. But he is currently sitting in P12. So, you three, I've been just very, very dominant. Jamie, another one that's right there in P4 but has 0 wins. He's nipping on you and Jamie's heels too. So, good luck to all of you. Any shout outs for the 00?
Yeah, and I mean, he wasn't here tonight, but you can't sleep on that 4 either. I think he might be kind of a sleeper as well to go on top of that. So yeah, it's going to be a battle. Looking forward to it. Like I said, just kind of riding it and getting ready for the playoffs because it's going to be fun. So hopefully fans enjoy it when we get there. Auto Club this week and the official stuff has been really fun as well. So for you to say that that's the final race before playoffs, I kind of like that idea. So hopefully that goes good. But no, I just gotta 2DS internet, I buy power computers, Asus monitors, Twitch race reports, Jamie, everybody for putting on this league, you as well for doing the broadcast every week for this Trek series. Like I said, hopefully fans are enjoying these races. The road courses kind of maybe get a little boring once we all get strung out and whatnot, but hopefully you guys stick around because once the playoffs start, it's going to be a good, I'd say 4 to 6 truck battle that are going to try and make the final 4, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a hell of a show for everybody.
Well, I definitely agree, and I'm definitely looking forward to the playoffs. And I hope everybody out there is enjoying the weeks that we come through these races and things like that for the winners, and rooting for family and friends. Like I said, tune in next Monday at 8:30 or 8:15. I'll go live from Martinsville. Going back short track racing, we'll see who survives that track, as it's a track that you don't have to bring the whole truck home. You can be missing a front bumper or a back bumper and still make it to the end. Um, I'm excited about a short track race, but we'll see we'll see who makes it out of there alive, as it's kind of a demolition derby usually when we go to short tracks, and even in real life when they get there, it can be a giant roadblock if one guy spins from the front. So stay tuned for a lot of action come Monday night. Hopefully we got more people in the field, and I definitely want to thank the 15 drivers that showed up tonight. Disappointed in the other 15 to 20 that did not show up, as I've said before, unless it's an emergency, work, or family related issue. If you sign up for a season, you should be here all season. This is the last season in AER, as they'll be closing out the league at the end of the season. So, want to see everybody show up and participate and finish out the season strong. But also this Friday, if you do not have anything else going on, tune in to Repeat 1975 over on Twitch, YouTube, and iRock TV, brought to you by Roku. They are putting on a special event, Turn Down for What Is. It's an event for a little girl. She had a last wish as she passed away from cancer, for people to put money into a GoFundMe to build playgrounds that are more accessible for handicapped children. So they are putting on a specialized event for donations to go into that fundraiser for Charlie's Light. She passed away from cancer, and there's a lot of people out there. News stations have picked it up. The Turn Down for What crew has been interviewed for the news, or from the news reporters, for putting on the event. They've got about 30 to 35 guys signed up right now out of the 40 I think they're going to allow to race. It's a truck race at Talladega, one fast repair, Friday night, March 3rd. I myself will be in the race racing to try to raise money for this little girl, and streaming the event from my personal POV on my stream. So if you've got nothing to do, or you want to join in and give a donation, anything that goes into the stream as far as bits or any donations privately or anything like that, Repeat will be putting all the information out during the stream. So tune in, watch that, and give a little to a little girl's dream of making more playgrounds more accessible to handicapped kids. But other than that, I've got nothing else new going on. Thursday night, I believe I'm back in the booth with Repeat 1975 for the iRock TV Spartan series, their truck series that's going on over there. Their season just started a couple weeks ago, so that race will be back at 9 o'clock on Repeat 1975 on iRock TV, brought to you by Roku, and I'll be in the booth for that. So other than that, tune in Monday night at 8:15. We'll catch you guys next week for all the action at Martinsville.